Hi, I'm Nick Shell with Family Friendly Daddy Blog. Now we're going to talk about something very intelligent today. If you're as intelligent as I am, then you're probably watching this video, aren't you? We're going to talk about how to prevent the need to discipline your child. Not how to discipline your child, how to prevent the need for that. Isn't that smart? Instead of trying to find a way to cure cancer, why don't we actually prevent it? So we're going to talk about preventing the need for child discipline. 5 steps. Now real quick, just to make sure I've got the street cred, please know that I do have a 5-year-old son and I have a daughter on the way. So in these past 5 years, I've sort of taught myself these 5 steps and they've proven to be very effective. Just so you know where I'm coming from, my son is very well behaved. It's a matter of, why is he so well behaved? Well, I want to believe that the way I discipline him or prevent the need to discipline him has something to do with that. So let's talk about what's been effective for me in my own life. This isn't about other people. It's about what's happening for me. So here's how this works. You want to always be 5 steps ahead of your child, because what's going to happen is, left to their own demise, they're going to misbehave. They're going to act out. They're going to pitch a fit. Any other cliche you want to throw in there, let's do that, because that's what your child is going to do if you're not ahead of the curve. So here's how this works. You always want to ask yourself these 5 questions. There's 5. Number 1, is my child going to need to eat anytime soon? You can't expect a child to behave themselves when it's almost time to eat or it's time to eat. You have to base your schedule around their meals, because if you don't, they're going to misbehave. Because here's how it works. As a kid, typically, especially a kid under 5, because that's all I can speak of experience at this point, they're not typically going to say, I'm hungry. That's why I'm in a bad mood. And that's why I'm acting this way to you. They're not going to say that. Now, as adults, when we're hungry, we're going to say, I'm hungry, or we're going to go get food. A kid's not going to do that. A kid's not going to simply communicate with you that they're hungry. So keep that in mind. So be prepared for them to be hungry. Number 1, is your child hungry? Because it's your responsibility as the parent to make sure that your child is fed. If not, expect them to misbehave. Okay, so let's say they've already eaten. They're not hungry. You've already checked that off the list. Number 2, is it time for a nap anytime soon? Now granted, your kid needs a nap. So don't expect for them to just behave wonderfully on a Saturday afternoon, especially when there's company around, if they haven't had a nap. Yes, as adults, we wish that we could have nap time. I've heard those cliches before. Oh, when you're in the kindergarten, you're forced to take a nap. Oh, when you're in preschool, you're forced to take a nap. And then as an adult, I'd love to have it. Well, again, keep in mind, kids need a nap every day, but they're not going to ask for it. They're not going to tell you, hey, I'm tired. That's why I'm acting this way. Kids don't do that. So with that in mind, you've got to prepare the way as the parent and be responsible to make sure that they're taking their nap. Provide that environment for them. Base your schedule around it, because if you don't, they're going to misbehave. So just so far, we went through 2. Is your kid hungry? Is your kid in need of a nap? So just imagine so far, though, that parents discipline their children for misbehaving because their kids are hungry and tired. That doesn't seem right, does it? Okay, let's build on that note. Now, I've still got 3 more. The next one is this. Is your child bored? I mean, obviously, they need to be entertained. They've got a brain that's being ready to be used. If they're acting out, are they really just bored? Do they need some sort of engagement, something to keep them entertained, and something that puts their IQ to use? So you always have to have something that's going to be able to entertain them in the moment. Put that in your bag, okay? Next, is your child simply lonely? Sometimes when they do really annoying things and say annoying things, they're seeking out for attention, but more importantly, they're lonely. They need some human interaction. So they've already eaten, they've already taken their nap. They're not bored as much as it is you're in the same room with them and they're needing some human interaction with them. So they're coming up with these annoying things that they say over and over, or whatever it is. Well, they're looking to you to engage them intellectually. That's what they're looking for at that point. Now, if all else fails and your child is still misbehaving, then here's what it is. Maybe your child's sick. Maybe you need to check their temperature because they're not able to feel well. They're not able to behave because remember, they can't tell you that they're hungry, that they need a nap, that they're bored, that they're lonely, or that they're sick. They're typically not going to come out and say that. Instead, they're going to misbehave. So that's how I prevent my son from misbehaving. I'm always 5 steps ahead of him. I'm making sure that as the parent, I set the way for him to have food, rest, entertainment, engagement, and to make sure that if he's sick, I put him to bed, I give him medicine, whatever it takes. I tricked you. This is actually an agenda here. I had an agenda, but I had to reel you in first. See, here's the whole thing. I'm talking about preventing discipline, right? Now, I had to learn this the hard way. I had to teach myself how this works. But here's the thing about me. Here's my agenda. I don't believe in spanking. Can you believe that? I've never spanked my son. And he's so well behaved. And he's such a good, bright kid. He's not a brat. He's a good kid. And he's never been spanked. I've never spanked him. So what I've learned, though, is this. If you prevent the need to discipline your child, or you accommodate them when they are hungry, tired, bored, lonely, or sick, then it keeps them from misbehaving. So imagine all the parents out there who hit their kid on the bottom for one of those reasons. Isn't that kind of sad when you think about it? That kids have been hit over things that really the parent should have taken care of? That's the way I see it. It's been real in my own life. I've got a kid that's very well behaved. Now, is he the exception to the rule? Or are you going to say, oh, well, Nick, wait till child number 2 comes along. It's going to be a whole different story. Your plan's not going to work on that. You just lucked out with the first kid. I don't think so. I mean, try me. I'll make another video in a couple of years or whatever. But I want to challenge you today to think about this. Are we disciplining our children for stuff that's really something we should prevent as the parent? Because they're not going to come out and ask for this stuff as kids. We have to provide for them. We're the provider. They're looking to us. Because here's the thing, as an adult, you have a higher emotional intelligence level than your child, right? Hopefully that'd be the case. You have control over your emotions. Your kid, not so much. And basically it's like this. They're hardwired to whatever physical is going on. It's just straight wired into their brain. And so if something's causing them not to be happy, they just freak out and lose all self-control, right? As an adult, that's not so much the case for you. You have more control over your emotions, right? Well, they don't. So is it really fair to hit your child for not having control over their emotions because of a physical need or a psychological need? Being hungry, tired, bored, lonely, or sick? I want to leave you with this quote from my favorite comedian, Louis C.K. So here's what Louis C.K. has to say in a special Hilarious, which I believe is on Netflix. He says this, and I quote, "I think it's really crazy that we hit our kids. It really is. Here's the crazy part about it. Kids are the only people in the world that you're allowed to hit. Do you realize that? They're the most vulnerable and the most destroyed by being hit. But it's totally okay to hit them. And they're the only ones. If you hit a dog, they'll put you in jail for that." End quote. Now again, I censored out a few words because I'm a family-friendly kind of guy. But I think Louis C.K. makes some great points. And it's funny because he's not even a conservative guy so much. Please know, in closing, I grew up like most people. I got spanked. So as I was transitioning into becoming a parent, I was so set on, oh yeah, I'm going to spank my child. Can't we be smarter than that? Seriously, we can. We can be smarter than that. We don't have to hit our child for stuff we as the parent should prevent. Seriously. Is your child hungry? Is your child tired? Is your child bored? Is your child lonely? Is your child sick? It's that simple. Now granted, I know my child's only 5 years old, and eventually he's going to be a tween and a teenager, and that's a whole different thing, and I can't speak on that experience, but I can speak for a 5-year-old or younger. I don't think it's right, and I don't think it's fair to hit a kid over something that's your job as the parent to prevent. That's the way I see it. I know this is controversial because I'm of the minority. Most American parents definitely believe in spanking. I'm of the minority. I think there's only 20% of Americans who are like me, who don't believe in spanking their child. These ways have been effective to preventing my child from misbehaving. He's a good kid, so it's been effective for him. I know I've been a bit aggressive, and I've been speaking with authority on this subject the whole time. However, the passion and the authority that I speak with, I do this to challenge you. If I'm wrong, so be it. I'm okay with being wrong in the audience of the world. That's okay, because I know this works for me. But I wish someone would have given me this information when I first became a parent. I wish I could have had this challenge, because as a human being, I'm always wanting to be the best at what I can do, the best at what I can be. I'm always open to constructive criticism, even if it goes against everything I've traditionally known. Because again, I was very pro spanking until I realized that these were preventable issues, that I was getting angry at my child. And another thing that Louis C.K. talks about too, and it is hilarious, he talks about when you at the grocery store and you see this parent trying to reason with their kid because they're misbehaving. And it's like, that's the whole point. You can't reason with a child. They don't have the emotional intelligence that you have as an adult. And let's use my whole scenario on that as well. Why do kids misbehave at grocery stores? Well, it goes back to the 5 reasons. There's a good chance that while at the grocery store, they're getting hungry because they're seeing all this food, which means they have to be well fed before they go there. And then next, are they tired? Is that why they're freaking out because they can't have the candy bar? Maybe it's time for them to have a nap. So what I would say, and this isn't always an option, but obviously don't take a kid to a grocery store. They can't handle it. And if you do, make sure they just ate and they just took their nap. Otherwise, don't even bother, because I think a lot of those issues, that's what they come down to. So those are my challenging thoughts. Whether you agree or disagree with me, that doesn't matter to me. That's fine if you disagree with me. I'm okay with that. But the main thing is, I hope that you feel challenged in this. I hope that you're able to take something away from this. Even if you decide, okay, I'm still going to keep spanking my child when they misbehave. Okay, fine. Let's make a compromise. Let's at least agree that I'm onto something, that I've got a 5-step plan to prevent children from misbehaving. However you want to word that. But I think we can all agree this has been a very intelligent conversation, a very emotionally intelligent conversation, and I've made some very good points. Even if you haven't agreed with them all, you have to admit, I'm a smart guy and I know what I'm talking about. And this thing has worked for me. So if it worked for me, what would keep it from working for you? If you apply it the same way I applied it, what would keep it from working for you? I'm Nick Shell with Family Friendly Daddy Blog, and boy, do I have some controversial things I've just talked about. But thank you for sticking with me. Thanks for listening. And remember, your child does not have the emotional intelligence that you have. You got to be smarter than your kid. You got to be 5 steps ahead of them.